Welcome to Shadow Keepers, the podcast where the unknown, the cursed, and the sinister come to light. I'm Lee.
And I'm B. Tonight we're stepping back to 1918, into the heart of New Orleans, a city rich with jazz, mystery, and terror.
That's right, we're talking about one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in American history, the Axeman of New Orleans.
New Orleans, 1918. The city pulsed with life. Jazz spilling out of every corner, a melting pot of culture, creating something beautiful and chaotic. But in the shadows of this vibrant city lurked a nightmare, the Axeman. Between May 1918 and October 1919, the Axeman attacked at least 6 families. He slipped into homes like a phantom, striking with the brutality that defied explanation. Many victims were Italian immigrants or grocers, fueling whispers of vendettas or organized crime. But was there something more, something otherworldly? To understand the Axeman's nature, we must look at his victims. Their stories paint a grim picture of his reign of terror. Joseph and Catherine Maggio, May 23, 1918. Joseph and Catherine were found in their home with their throats slit by a razor and their head bludgeoned with an axe. Catherine's wounds were so severe she was nearly decapitated. A bloodied razor, an axe, suit, and socks were left at the scene. The investigators believe the Axeman changed into some of Joseph Maggio's clean clothes, and a cryptic message was found nearby, written in chalk, that said, "Miss Maggio is going to sit up tonight, just like Miss Tony."
After the Maggio murders, the property was abandoned for years, earning a reputation as cursed. Locals whispered that the spirits of Joseph and Catherine remained there, restless and seeking justice. In the 1940s, the building was converted into apartments. Tenants began reporting strange occurrences: footsteps in empty hallways, faint jazz music playing late at night, and the sound of a door being forced open. One tenant claimed to see a shadowy figure with an axe standing at the foot of their bed, disappearing as they screamed. Residents described seeing a male figure in old-fashioned clothes behind what was once the store counter. He seems to be arranging invisible goods before vanishing into thin air. Neighbors have reported hearing faint cries of a woman pleading for help, believed to be Catherine Maggio reliving her tragic death. In one particularly eerie account, a family reported finding their front door chiseled open after a stormy night. While nothing was stolen, they discovered an old axe left in the hallway. Several ghost hunting teams have explored the property. They reported sudden cold spots in areas believed to be tied to the murders. Recordings captured whispers, including what sounded like the word justice. Unexplained electromagnetic activity near the original door, where the Axeman allegedly entered. Residents today claim the hauntings aren't malevolent, but are tied to the victim's spirits, trapped in space. However, others believe the Axeman himself may linger, either out of guilt or as a dark force tied to his crimes.
So is there no building there now? Are you looking at it up? Are you looking that
No.
up? Only because like when I looked it up, maybe not. You know what? I don't think it's the exact location, but there is another Maggio's grocer.
Yes, I did see that, but that one was built in 1923.
Okay, probably later. I
Yeah,
guess
that's
they
why I
wouldn't
don't
want.
believe it's this one.
Yeah, I think it's their family though,
Yeah, probably the same family.
because he had 3 brothers. Yeah, he had 3 brothers. The 3 brothers are the ones who found his body. Our next victims were Louis Bessemer and Harriet Lowe, June 27th, 1918. The grocer and his mistress were attacked in their living quarters with a hatchet, not an axe. Louis was struck above his right temple, and Harriet was struck on the left side of her face, leaving that side of her face paralyzed. The hatchet was found left in the bathroom. Harriet, despite her severe injuries, identified Louis as the attacker and a German spy. She passed away a few months later after a failed attempt to repair her face. No evidence supported her claim, leaving the case unresolved.
So what, she just had a gash in her face?
When he attacked her, he hit the left side of her face and basically almost chopping off her ear.
Mm,
So he hit Lewis on the one side and then he hit her on the opposite side, but like hitting her temple.
hmm.
But
That's why she survived.
they both survived.
Oh, okay.
They both survived. He didn't do as much damage to them.
Okay.
So they were both, oh, well, they both survived. She died months later because the doctors told her that they could repair her face
Hmm.
because it was paralyzed. She ended up dying due to that surgery. If she would have left her face alone, she probably would have still lived.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wonder why he didn't kill everyone and only certain ones. Like, is it like a quick attempt? Like, I'm gonna hit you, you die, you don't, like, and then I'm gonna go. Like, what was the thought behind leaving some victims alive?
They believe some of them were interrupted, and that's why he didn't get to finish. Also, with Bessemer and Lowe, he used a hatchet, which I just think is a smaller form of an axe.
Yeah,
So it probably wasn't an adequate weapon. With Joseph and Catherine, he didn't just use an axe, he used a razor.
yeah, okay.
So maybe if he would have done the same with them, they wouldn't have lived. I don't know why. But they're all saying that he's finding weapons of convenience because he's using the victim's own axes and hatchets and
Yeah.
knives and stuff like that.
Whatever
Um,
he found in the house. Yeah,
yeah, but they're also all grocers, which means to me they probably have a lot of other more sharp tools that could have been used.
that's true. I mean, I wonder if the axe is just conveniently by the door or something because, they needed to cut wood and use it for fireplace and stuff like that.
I would think so. I would think either it would be left at the back door, which I think is where he's entering,
Mm.
or in an outside shed, or even outside of the back door.
Yeah.
But this one was a little weird because one, it was his mistress. They suspected his wife, but she was out of town. They thought that Lewis was a German spy because that's what Harriet claimed, and also because they found letters that he wrote in about 3 different languages. I think Italian, Russian, and there was another one. So they thought that was weird. He was arrested on what is that word? When they think that you're a spy and you're working for another country. He was arrested for espionage, but they couldn't prove it, so he was released.
And they also had a grocery store.
Yes, they were sleeping in the back of the grocery store. He had a apartment back there. Joseph and Catherine, the first victims, were sleeping upstairs. They had an apartment at the top of their grocery store. In that case, they arrested a bakery driver who found the bodies, but he was released, and an employee, but then he was also released, especially after Harriet made claims against Lewis, who was then also arrested for the crime. Anna Schneider, August 5th, 1918. Anna, who was 8 months pregnant, was attacked in her home and struck multiple times in the face with a bedside lamp. She was home alone. Her husband found her when he came home after staying late at their grocery store. Miraculously, she and her unborn child survived. She gave birth to a baby girl 2 days later. She had no memory of the attack, and nobody was arrested for that crime. They had no suspects. Joseph Romano, August 10th, 1918. Joseph, an elderly man, was attacked in his home and suffered fatal head injuries. Joseph's 2 nieces, Pauline and Mary, heard a commotion and entered his room. They reported seeing a dark, heavy-set figure fleeing the scene. Joseph died from his injuries 2 days later. A bloody axe was found in the yard and the back door had been chiseled away. After Joseph Romano's death, the residents of New Orleans lived in constant fear. There were reports from citizens claiming to find axes being left in their backyards. Rose and Charles Cornamagilia, March 10th, 1919. The Axeman attacked Rose, Charles, and their 2-year-old daughter Mary while they slept. Both parents survived. Sadly, Mary did not. They lived in Gretna, Louisiana. Police found the axe used left behind on their back porch. Rose, despite her wounds, falsely accused her neighbors of involvement. They were convicted of the crimes, were released a year later when she confessed she lied out of jealousy and spite.
So locals claim that Rosie and Charles' home is deeply haunted. Neighbors report seeing a small child in a white nightgown standing near the house, sometimes waving before disappearing. On quiet nights, some say they hear a child's laughter, followed by the faint sound of crying. Residents who have lived in the house often report the feeling of being watched, especially in the bedroom where the attack occurred. Shadows are said to dart across the walls even when no one is inside. Over the years, homeowners claim to discover strange marks around door frames resembling the chisel marks the Axemen used to break in. These marks would reappear even after being repaired. Furniture moves on his own, doors slam shut, and some claim to hear the faint sound of footsteps accompanied by the scraping of metal. Some believe that Mary's spirit remains tied to the home, seeking her parents or justice for her untimely death. Others think the Axeman's dark energy lingers, leaving a curse on any who live there. Paranormal groups investigating the property have captured whispered voices, including one believed to be Mary, saying, "Mama." Unexplained movements of objects, such as rocking chairs swaying without cause. Significant drops in temperature in the old bedroom and hallway.
That one was sad for me.
Yes, I think so.
The way the reports were done, it was so gruesome, and I didn't want to say it in that way. I do think, though, the only reason why Mary was attacked is because she was sleeping in bed with them, because she was sleeping beside Rose. And maybe that's why Rose, too, made a false confession against her neighbors. Maybe she felt like if they came sooner, her daughter would still be alive.
Hmm.
Because they came running because they heard the screaming.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why she did a false confession. But it's sad. That one was sad.
And you don't think her confession was forced on her by the police
I don't.
because the guys were already there, so it was kind of like an easy case to
It was
close.
Well, no, and they did, even though they were convicted, they were only convicted out of convenience because honestly, it was proven that they weren't able to even do it. The older man who found them, he was very ill
Mhm.
and he would not have been able to conflict on them the amount of power it would have taken to hit them.
Okay.
And he found them, and then his son came after him later, and so they weren't there at the same time.
Okay.
But in every one of these cases, the police just were trying to, instead of looking for someone who wasn't in any of these people's lives, they felt it was easier to just blame someone that each family knew and treated them all as separate cases instead of a serial case.
Yeah, instead of finding the correlation between all of the cases together,
Yeah.
there's like, okay, your neighbor must have done it. The I don't know, truck driver must have done it. Anybody that was around you at that time.
Yes.
But
And
these murders happen at night where people were sleeping too. So nobody ever heard or saw anything, I believe, for
no,
that reason, because
yeah,
everybody's basically sleeping at that time.
exactly. And this one actually, and probably these people weren't as on alert because they weren't actually in New Orleans. They were in Gretna. I don't know how far Gretna is from New Orleans, but it is apparently is a suburb outside of New Orleans. It's not
Mhm.
inside. So it could be one, who's to say they even heard of what was going on? And they might have not been, I don't know how you prepare for something like that. I don't know how you would prepare for, unless you sleep with your axe beside your bed, which I think I would have started to do. Like,
Yeah, but even if you did it, you're still asleep and he's gonna just come in and chop you up. You're not gonna even know unless you're staying up all night.
well, they were saying, a lot of people were. A lot of people were saying that they were, especially the husbands, were staying up all night with
Mhm.
axes and shotguns. preparing for the Axeman to show up. And a lot of them did claim that they would hear like someone trying to chisel at their back door and they would chase them away and the next morning would find an axe in their backyard. But they weren't sure if that was truly the Axeman or if it was a prank,
Yeah,
which I never understand. Every time there is a serial killer or we're put on like high alert due to like a lot of crime, the people who decide to pull pranks at that time,
I know.
I never understand it. Oh, it'd be so funny. It it wouldn't be funny if you got shot.
Exactly. It wouldn't be funny if your family was the target.
Yeah,
It's funny
like
because it's not happening to you.
exactly. Exactly. And you want to pull a prank and then, you get arrested or you get killed in the process. And it was like, well, it was just a prank. This is not a time for a prank. These people are very scared. They're on high alert. And it's not just their whole families are being killed. But usually that's kids. And that's because kids are dumb and they don't know any better.
That's true.
Not all kids, because I wish mine would. I wish mine would. The Times-Picayune newspaper received a letter from the Axeman on March 16, 1919. The following letter said, Hell, March 13, 1919. Editor of the Times-Picayune, New Orleans. Esteemed mortal, they have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible. Even as the ether that surrounds your earth, I am not a human being, but a spirit and a fell demon from hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman. When I see fit, I shall come again and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my bloody axe, besmirched with the blood and brains of whom I have sent below to keep me company. That's the
See, that's
first.
why they think it's a demonic entity, just because of that letter. Because why would a mobster write something like that? That makes no sense.
To get people off his trail if they got
Yeah, but like
close.
a mob attack, you go attack and then you leave. They don't care about all that stuff. And plus, in 1919, 1918, there's no DNA CSI type of investigation. You know what I
No, but
mean?
they were collecting fingerprints.
Yeah, but to me, I don't see anything coming out of any kind of investigation they do in that
Yeah,
time. You know what I mean? And it didn't seem like their investigation, they were taking it that serious anyway.
no.
Like they just want to open and shut the as quick as possible. They're not trying to actually find the right person. So even if it was a mobster, if he just came and went, he would have still gotten away with it.
Yeah,
So why write that letter?
I don't know.
Because
And he wrote a
he was
long
getting
letter.
bored? Yeah, because he's getting bored.
Maybe I think it's
But instill
more
fear in people
that and maybe because maybe he didn't expect to not be caught yet.
or ever, really. Or maybe this will get him off his trail. Like, oh, if they think I'm a demon, they're not going to even try.
Really?
I don't know.
I thought he wrote multiple letters. I didn't realize he just wrote one long letter. He goes on to say, If you wish, you may tell the police to be careful and not to rile me. Of course, I am a reasonable spirit. I take no offense at the way in which they have conducted their investigation in the past. In fact, they have been so utterly stupid, so as to amuse not only me, but his satanic majesty, Francis Joseph, etc. But tell them to beware. Let them not try to discover what I am, for it were better that they never were born than for them to incur the wrath of the Axeman. I don't think there is any need of such a warning, for I feel sure that your police will always dodge me, as they have in the past. They are wise and know how to keep away from all harm. Now, in that paragraph is interesting because he one calls them stupid in a way where they will never know who he is, but wise enough to also not catch him so that they don't come to harm.
Yeah, it's like just taunting them.
And who is Francis Joseph? I never looked into that, but he calls him the satanic majesty.
I think it's just like a person just taunting the police and, getting away with crimes.
Francis Joseph was the eldest son and monarch of Austria, which I'm wondering right there, One, would the people of New Orleans or the cops, there was no internet back then. So I wonder how would they know who this man is? But then is that a clue into the identity of the Axeman? Because you're mentioning an Austrian monarch. How would they know who that is?
Yeah.
Um, unless you yourself are Austrian and you're attacking all Italians. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because Axemen are struck at night. That's the time associated with spiritual activity and the thinning of the veil between the worlds. In various traditions, that's why they think he is a demonic spirit, a malevolent spirit, just possessing a human just to wreak havoc, you know? So that's where the supernatural connection comes.
Well, in the next paragraph, he does say, undoubtedly, you Orleanians think of me as a most horrible murderer, which I am, but I could be much worse if I wanted to. If I wished to, I could pay a visit to your city every night. At will, I could slay thousands of your citizens, for I am in close relationship with the angel of death. My thing is, if you could kill thousands with like the snap of your fingers in a night, then why aren't you?
Yeah.
And your
What's
success
stopping
rate,
you?
not even that, your success rate is crap. You're batting
Yeah,
50. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Out of all your victims, only half of them have passed. So you're not very good at your job.
No, you're not. Because you are leaving witnesses behind. Not even witnesses, but like live people. So
Yeah.
how are you actually getting like killing people? Well, it says here that in the early 20th century, cases of violent crimes were sometimes attributed to demonic possession, especially when the perpetrator's motives were unclear. And religious leaders may have viewed the Axeman's brutality as evidence of satanic influence.
Well, that makes sense if with his claims
Yeah.
that he knows Satan, he knows the angel of death. He does in the next paragraph though say, now to be exact, at 12:15 o'clock earthly time on next Tuesday night, I am going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I am going to make a little proposition to the people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose house a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. If everyone has a jazz band going, well, then, so much the better for the people. One thing is certain, and that is some of those persons who do not jazz it on Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe.
A demon that loves jazz music. Who would have known? And then that's when the idea that jazz could repel evil gained traction, becoming a reoccurring theme in local folklore. Playing jazz is sometimes seen as a way to invite positivity or banish dark spirits. And I think it started because of that.
I kind of felt like he did it as a joke.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, because at that, to me, every single night, not just this night,
Hmm.
every single night, I am putting a jazz record on all night long
Right.
because you're not going to try to save me one night. I want to be saved every night. And that's why I think it was just a joke. Maybe he had to go somewhere.
Yeah. He had to go out of town and he's like, let me see how many of these people I can make play jazz.
Yeah, and it was said that every home that had a record player played jazz all night long, and if they didn't have a record player, they filled the jazz clubs to the brim,
Hmm.
trying to stay safe.
Yeah,
And
I'm
for
sure.
one person to have that much power to give these people this much fear, that's crazy. I just wouldn't have slept. I don't know.
Yeah, but for how long are you not sleeping?
That's
Until
true.
finally you fall asleep. Or you change your times and you just become a night owl and
Yeah.
sleep in the daytime.
Yeah, my grocery store would now be open all night long. The last paragraph. Well, as I am cold and crave the warmth of my native Tartarus, and as it is about time that I have left your homely earth, I will cease my discourse, hoping that thou wilt publish this, that it may go well with thee. I have been. MN will be the worst spirit that ever existed, either in fact or the realm of fantasy, the Axeman. By that last paragraph, it almost seemed like he was done killing. Like he was gonna go back to wherever he went, or came from. But it sounded like he was done killing, which was not the case because there are still 3 more victims. Steve Boca, August 10th, 1919. The Axeman attacked Steve Boca while he slept in bed. Boca awoke from his attack to see a dark figure standing over him. He chased the intruder into the street, but Boca was badly hurt, so went to a neighbor for help and collapsed. Steve Boca recovered, but due to his injuries, couldn't remember more details about his attack. Nothing was taken from the home, and police found the back door chiseled open.
He almost caught him.
He did. He did almost catch him. He did get like 1 hit in, but I think Steve Boca was a big guy. So it did crack his skull open. But yeah, he jumped out of bed and he just straight chased him out the door. But he didn't realize how bad he was hurt. So he just stumbled onto his neighbors and asked for help. And then he actually ended up passing out. But yeah, he made a full recovery.
That's good for him.
This next one, they attributed it to the Axeman. I'm not sure. You tell me what you think. Sarah Lumen, September 3rd, 1919. Sarah Lumen, who was a 19-year-old single female, was attacked in her apartment while she slept. She was found by her neighbors who broke her door down when she didn't answer and found her with a head injury and her teeth knocked out in bed. It was said the Axeman entered through the window and left the axe on the front lawn. Sarah recovered but couldn't remember any details about the attack.
It's not his MO. It's not his target. I think somebody was trying to blame it on him and commit a crime.
That sounds like
Number one, she's not a grocer.
No.
And the crime is not yeah.
It sounds like an ex-boyfriend or an abusive boyfriend that she doesn't want to see anymore, like
or a stalker that
yeah. Well, like let me do like the Axeman and I won't get caught. I won't be a suspect because they didn't have any suspects, especially since she couldn't remember a thing.
Yeah.
And thank God,
think so. I don't think it's the Axeman in this case.
But thank God she has nosy neighbors. They decided to check on her because she was a single female. And they wanted to make sure she was okay before they went to bed. And when she wouldn't answer the door because they knew she was home, they just had a bad feeling and broke the door down. The fact that he came in through the window and not chiseled his way through a back door.
And she's in an apartment, so she doesn't even have a back door.
Well, most of them did live in apartments, but apartments
connected to the grocery
store. Yeah, but that one I felt like, is she really a victim of the Axeman or are they
to me, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, the motive is too different. The last victim of the Axeman, Mike Pepitone, October 27th, 1919. Mike Pepitone was found fatally injured in his bedroom. His wife was awakened by a noise and went to her husband's bedroom to check on him. She reported seeing a large axe-wielding figure fleeing the scene, but no description could be provided. Mike Pepitone was reported to be the last known victim of the Axeman. Mike and his wife had 6 children together.
Yeah, so Mike Pepitone's home is considered haunted. So residents and visitors to the property have reported unsettling phenomena. A reoccurring legend claims that no matter how many times the walls are repainted, faint stains resembling blood splatters reappear in the bedroom where Pepitone was killed. Tenants frequently hear heavy footsteps in the hallway, often stopping outside the bedroom door. Multiple witnesses have reported seeing a shadowy figure holding an axe, standing at the foot of the bed before vanishing. Some also claim to see a woman dressed in black, believed to be Pepitone's grieving widow, wandering the house. Objects have been reported to move on their own, particularly heavy furniture shifting overnight. Doors slam shut violently, even when no one is nearby. Some locals believe Pepitone's murder was the result of a curse placed on his family, tying his death to supernatural forces rather than just the Axeman. Others say the Axeman himself haunts the home, drawn back to the scene of his last crime. Ghost hunters have recorded significant anomalies in the Pepitone home. low, growling sounds, and a voice that seemed to say, run. Captured on video near the bedroom doorway, shadowy figures. Sudden temperature drops documented in the murder room with no apparent explanation. Adding to the mystery, Pepitone's widow, Esther Albano Pepitone, moved to Los Angeles after his death. Years later, she was accused of killing a man named Angelo, whom she claimed had a role in her husband's death. So this is different.
Well, actually, it is technically part of the case. So when she moved to Los Angeles, she did remarry. And she told the police that Angelo was the Axeman who killed her husband.
With the person she married?
Now, that's where the clarification gets a little iffy. Because she says that that's the Axeman who killed both her husbands because her second husband ended up going missing.
Actually, I do have Lewis and Anna Schneider. The paranormal activity several witnesses have reported seeing a shadowy man with an axe standing near the building's rear entrance. He disappears when approached. People claim to hear whispers in the aisles of the now defunct grocery store with phrase like stay out or don't sleep. Extreme temperature drops have been reported near the back of the store where the Axeman is believed to have entered. Former store employees reported items falling off shelves or flying across the room without explanation. At night, faint jazz music has been heard emanating from the building, even when it's empty. Neighbors in Mid-City often avoided the store, claiming it was cursed. Some said the building was a magnet for dark forces because of the Axeman's attack. The property is occasionally featured on ghost tours, and paranormal teams have investigated, documenting shadowy apparitions captured near the back entrance. Disturbing audio, a recording of what some interpreted as the sound of a door being chiseled open, and high EMF readings detected near the building's rear with no logical source. So those are the stuff that was found at Lewis and Anna Schneider's former grocery store.
I don't know if I would believe that the Axeman haunts the Snyder's store only because her attack wasn't as vicious as a lot of the others. And she did also survive, and so did her child. Her husband wasn't even there. So I don't believe that the Axeman would be haunting their store.
But do you
Unless,
believe that maybe he just is like a lingering negative energy
yes, because we've
from
talked
what
about that
happened?
before.
Yeah.
Now, saying that, unless if you believe the theory that he is a demonic presence, then I do believe anywhere that he has attacked would be
Hmm.
then haunted. I can
Yeah.
believe that. But that means to me, all the grocery stores and the houses where he attacked someone, whether they lived or died, will have would be left with his energy signature
Yes.
that would then haunt.
I mean,
I
it
could,
is something traumatic that has happened in those places,
yes.
even from the victims themselves, whether they lived or died.
Yes, but it seems like she's the only victim who lived whose house is or how well, her house is haunted. Now, the thing is with them is it didn't say, I don't remember reading that the house and the store were connected because her husband came home late from the store. They lived in a house. So why would the store be haunted when she was attacked at her home?
I do not know.
Unless people, but then people like make up stories and
Or
it
yeah, sometimes
sounds
you
more
think
interesting.
you hear the story and it's kind of in your mind. So yeah, you're going to hear something, you're going to experience something because it's already in your mind. To
Yeah.
like you manifest that haunting
And
on your
and
own.
and I could see that working for today, but back then, no one would want to shop at a store that they believe is haunted
Hmm.
because of the superstition and where today everyone flocks to these places.
Yeah.
They want to have an encounter. They want to have an experience. I don't know if I necessarily believe that the store, her home, yes, but not the store.
Unless it is connected and he came late because he was still in the store in wherever the living quarters was and he entered the living quarters late. And it may not necessarily be a separate building.
Well, no, when I was reading it, it said that he came in through the front door and he noticed like it was off in the home.
Hmm.
So then he went to the bedroom and then that's how when he found his wife. So
Yeah.
they did make it seem like it was a separate building, though they could live right next door to the store.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It might be close by
Which
because these paranormal stuff that has the activity, paranormal activity, is surrounds the store, not really the home. Where Pippiton's home is the one that was
I think the Axeman spirit's trying to kill me over here. Oh my God.
yeah, so Pippiton's home is what's haunted, where here it's the
Yeah.
grocery store that is haunted. So it may not have been that far from each other.
Yeah. And then
See,
it'd be
because they both survived, but the attack left the store and surrounding area with a dark reputation.
they both survived because the husband wasn't there.
But if the store and the surrounding area has this dark reputation, it may not have been that far away from each other.
They might not have been because I think back then you wouldn't live that far from your business. But I think too, the Pepitones, they didn't live in their market. They had 6 kids.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah, that one makes sense where the home is haunted.
yeah, because they had 6 children and the husband and wife didn't even sleep in the same room, which probably what saved her. But let's not discuss the mundane. Some theories suggest the Axeman was a man, a murderer with a taste for theatrics. His victims were often attacked with their own axes, tools found nearly every household back then. The method of entry, removing panels from doors, required skill, but wasn't supernatural. And the letter? Perhaps it was a twisted mind attempt to incite panic, or even a hoax to distract from the investigation. Whether demon or man, the Axeman left a legacy of terror. His crime stopped abruptly after Mike Pepitone's murder in October 1919. Did he die? Was he arrested for another crime? Or did he, as some believe, turn to the depths from which he came? New Orleans has never forgotten the Axeman story, and it lives on, blending history and folklore, a chilling reminder of how little separates us from the unknown. Before we say goodbye, let's take a moment to turn to the cards. One final message to guide us through the shadows. The deck is ready. The question is simple. What do we need to take with us from tonight's journey? Let's see what the cards reveal. The card is Death Reverse.
That might not be so bad, actually.
Well, I know the death card is not supposed to mean death. It's supposed to
No,
mean like a change.
like a transformation.
Yeah. Just like the word apocalypse. People think the word apocalypse means the end of times, which means it just means a change in time. Death, reversed, resistance to change, personal transformation, inner purging. Upright, death is a card of transformation and typically refers to needing to start over by letting go of the past. In the reverse position, death could mean that you are on the verge of meaningful change but are resisting it. You may be reluctant to let go, or you may not know how to make the change you need. You still carry harmful viewpoints from the past that may interfere with the new opportunity. Because of your refusal, life has stagnated and you feel stuck in limbo. Death Reverse offers you the opportunity to embrace change rather than to resist it. See what wonderful possibilities became available to you as you say yes to change. As you learn to release the past and surrender to the present, the future becomes even brighter. I have to say that is a good card for our first episode after the new year. Though
Hmm.
this episode won't be out till later on. It goes with where we're at in this moment today, if you think about that. Any thoughts?
No, it's not a bad card.
It's not as
Can
spot on as uh,
no, it's not as
our
the other ones have been like completely spot on
yes.
like, and it actually went with the flow of the card before it.
Yes.
Where this one is kind of different.
It is, but I'm
It is
wondering
different.
too is we are in a new year and this is our first episode in a new year.
Yeah, and kind
So,
of let go of everything that happened in the past year
yeah,
and let the changes
let's
and
embrace the new year.
yeah, and exactly. So it's not bad actually at all.
Yeah, so it's more spot on with the time, but
Mhm.
not spot on like where it's almost connecting with us. It feels like this is more of a universal message.
Yeah.
Not a personal
Mhm.
message.
Yeah, because that could actually apply to anybody with the new year. And then I'm wondering the next card if it would kind of if it's going to go with this flow of the death
Yes.
card.
Yes. We're
Mhm.
in a different stage now. The Axeman of New Orleans left the city haunted, not just by his crimes, but by the mystery of his identity.
If he's still out there, maybe he's listening. After all, jazz never truly dies.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into darkness. If you have your own theories or paranormal encounters, we'd love to hear from you. Visit our Reddit community or drop us a line.
Keep your lights on and your jazz record spinning. You never know who's listening.
Stay vigilant, stay awake, stay aware. And remember, not all shadows are harmless.
Bye.
Bye. Girl, you gotta practice.